Hi, welcome to Montana State of Mind with me, Montana. A channel where we recap mostly vintage romance novels, but occasionally sci-fi, horror. We did a cat novel recently. Hey y'all. I took January off to move into my new home. If you're on my Instagram, you got to see how amazingly cute it is. Peep this bouquet that the original homeowner left. And I just don't want to take it down. It's so cute. That being said, if you're new to this channel, what we do here is I give you a brief recap of this novel to see if you're interested in the less brief recap. Okay. We do the cover art because that is a work of art itself. These cover arts are absolutely gorgeous. They were made by artists. They deserve attention. If you hear my dogs barking in the backyard, there's nothing I can do. So sorry. Just consider it ambiance. And then we do fictional author lore, where I look at a picture of the author and just make up stuff based on her appearance because it is always fun to judge a book by its cover here. In more ways than one. But honestly, the real author lore is more interesting than anything I could come up with. So I may give y'all the actual, factual Christina Sky lore. I don't know. And then I give you a recap. Now, I'm on a time crunch because I actually have a job. So hopefully I can get y'all in and out of here within 2 hours. We will see. I am a Gemini. I can talk. You should see the editing process. I cut a lot. I cut a lot of gristle off of these videos. Real quick, I did not renew my subscription to Podbean, which is how I use to make this channel a podcast, like for Spotify and Apple. I just wasn't getting enough downloads to justify the price. But if you truly need this in that format, I'll totally do it again. You just have to promise that you'll try to get other people to download it so I can, because I just wasn't making any money off of it, and so it was a negative on my taxes. So I don't know, if you really need it, just tell me and I'll do it. But other than that, if not, just watch it on YouTube. Now, a brief overview of today's novel, which is East of Forever. And I did it because it is loosely of Asian theme, of Chinese theme, and it is Chinese New Year in a week or two. And so I was trying to stay on theme. And I have so many opinions already that, okay, Montana. A brief recap, just to see if you're interested, is we have a London-born woman who was raised in China by Shaolin monks. Tale as old as time. I mean, yawn, we've seen it time and time again. But she was raised by Shaolin monks. And her daddy was kidnapped and is being held ransom. And to get him back, she has to go find the Chinese emperor's favorite pillow book, Smut. Because what? Smut is valuable and it runs the world. You can sit there and say it's lowbrow all you fucking want to. Heated rivalry is shaping this culture. So she has to find the pillow book to get her daddy back. And in the meantime, someone else, there's the triad is also looking for the pillow book. And then her ex-boyfriend, I wouldn't call him a boyfriend, her ex-makeout partner, we'll get into the details, he's also looking for it because he's an English diplomat to the Chinese emperor. The Chinese emperor just really wants his fucking book of pornography, and he has everybody trying to find it. And they're all trying to kill each other to get this Karma Sutra of China. And chaos ensues. There's a lot of twists and turns. I may be of low intelligence, but there was a twist in here at the end that y'all probably have clocked. Y'all will probably clock it immediately. I didn't see it coming. When it happened, I said, what? I literally audibly was on my couch and went, are you kidding me? But without further ado, let's go ahead and knock into this novel. The cover is a step back, and for those new, so this is the original cover. You know, some romance novels don't have the people on the immediate front cover because these were romance books with details of intimacy. And for some reason, they didn't want to put the half-naked people on the cover. That way, I guess, if your grandma or your mom had her church ladies come to the house, it wasn't immediate, oh, what is she reading? But anyways, but if you, one page, you do see the couple. Now, I will put a better picture up here. The first cover, the decoy cover, if you will, is going to be a rich, rich royal purple, gold lettering Christina Sky, East of Forever. We've got 2 gardenias. Gardenias are a theme in this novel. We have got a necklace. It is purple pearls, but they're supposed to be pink in the novel. But it's a double strand pearl necklace. And in the middle is a rectangle gold medallion with dragons on the sides, emeralds, amethysts. Cute. But that's not what we're here for. We want to see the couple. And so you open it and you get this beautiful Mr. Darcy English giant mansion, you know, this Downton, if you will, in a garden with little bubblegum pink roses. And we see our man, Tony Moreland, and he is a white man. They usually are. I don't like a man whose skin and hair tone match. He is a grown blonde man, of which I don't trust. Never trust a grown blonde man. Like a Spencer Pratt with like the facial hair that's still blonde. Ew. But Tony Moreland, he has golden blonde hair, golden tan skin. It all kind of runs together. No facial hair. His hair, though, because this was made in the 90s, it is not period accurate to the 1800s when this takes place. This is obviously very Devon Sawa, very Nick Carter. Honestly, it's kind of given Lance Bass a little bit Lance Bass. Like, it's a very voluminous top and kind of close crop on the sides. He honestly looks like Lance Bass. And then he has your typical white ruffle shirt. And he's got a burgundy vest. It looks like a burgundy silk vest with like gold paisleys on it. Looks like a bad prom ensemble. And of course, brown breeches with riding boots. Very exciting. The girl, the woman that he is holding, he has her picked up like a man would carry a woman with a hurt ankle or over the threshold of a home when you get married. She looks like a 90s Snow White in the sense that she is a white woman. She has ruby red lips, very dark lashes, very dark eyebrows, very long, thick, long layers, voluminous black hair. She's got a hint of purple eyeshadow, very period accurate to the 1800s. You know they loved their purple eyeshadow back then. And she is wearing a purple, it's actually drawn or painted. I don't even know how they did the process in the 90s, but it looks amazing. It looks so real. And I know these were real models, but I don't know the process that they did because they used real models, but then did they paint all of it? I don't remember. Anyways, she has got a lilac purple off the shoulder gown. It's very poofy. It's kind of frumpy, but like imagine an 80s prom dress, like very Princess Diana. It's off the shoulder and yet it has big shoulders. Does that make sense? It's off the shoulder, but the poofs on the side are still very large. And the border, like I said, it's a lilac dress. And the sleeve and the off the shoulder collar is like a darker purple. And then it has scalloped lace on the sleeve and around the shoulders. I think she looks great. Again, I think she looks like Snow White. Very cute. Christina Sky immediately looks like a high school principal who is not fun. I don't know why I give all of these authors like educational faculty jobs. I guess that's the only room of reference I have. But I want to give her real author lore real quick because it's more interesting than anything I could come up with. She is a descendant of Revolutionary War hero Adam Helmer, of which, how do you know that? How do you know that? Especially in the 90s. Who the fuck knew that? Well, you have a receipt of when you... Anyways. She was born in Dayton, Ohio. She speaks, and this says in her biography, she speaks fluent Chinese along with French and Japanese, and she has traveled many times to the Orient. And the phrase speaks Chinese and the Orient already tell me, I don't think you did, Christina. I don't think you did. Or maybe someone wrote it like this because in the 90s, that's how we kind of said it. But nowadays we do know that there is no Chinese language. It is Mandarin and Cantonese, isn't it? Chinese people, please correct me if I'm wrong. But from my understanding and Chinese friends, it is Cantonese and Mandarin, and of course a lot of local dialects. But those are the two main languages. You don't speak Chinese. And then the Orient is a word that Generation Z, I had a Generation Z person ask me, okay, real quick. We were trying to remember ramen noodle flavors. Ramen noodle flavors. They asked, because I was like, okay, chicken, beef, shrimp, low sodium chicken. And I was like, oh, remember they had the flavor Oriental? Like it was a blue package and it was the Oriental flavor of ramen noodles. And I was like, what is it now? I think it's soy sauce now. She said like, oh, what is Oriental? She was thinking of another word. But anyways, it did make me think of like, oh, that was a word back in the day that non-Asian people just used to just put a broad stroke over all of Asia. All of those different cultures of Asia, we were just like Orient. It's all Oriental. Chinese, Korean, Japanese, Taiwanese, all Oriental. Yay. Obviously now we know better. But I just can't help but but Christina had to approve of this. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, if you speak fluent Chinese, then why didn't you correct and say which Chinese language you spoke? And then to speak French and Japanese, I'm not denying it. I'm just saying I'd like to see it. Because I know a few people in my life that say they speak languages that they do not. They just learn them on Duolingo and know a few sentences. That does not count as speaking it. So I do wonder if her French is limited to tourism phrases. But if she speaks it, that's great. I'm not like, if she speaks it, wonderful. I just like to see it. Okay, real quick. In K-pop, they'll do that to K-pop idols. They'll be like, such and such can speak French, Chinese, English, and Portuguese. And they'll like cut to the actual idol and he can say like, hello, how are you in Portuguese? And they're like, fluent. What a quadlingual king. And it's like, okay, I don't know if saying where is the bathroom in French counts as speaking French. But that's Montana's language rant for you. Now, again, Christina Scott, she has a strong face. And so she has a short bob, it looks like brunette bob, which is very flattering for I have a strong face too, so I get it. We can either rock really long layers or something right at chin level. Like those are the hairstyles for us. Like right now, this is not really doing it for me. She's got a shiny lip, a shiny Revlon lip, and little diamond flower studs. And a high collar, black, dare I say Mandarin collar shirt. Because we found Christina at a very Chinese time in her life. But she looks honestly like Ina Garten, the barefoot Contessa, like if she had a studious older sister. Like Ina's the fun sister that has all the gays over for brunch. And Christina's the sister that's like, well, I could enjoy your pastrami or, your prosciutto sandwiches, Ina, but I'm off to go study and speak Chinese. And one of like Ina's BFF gays was just like, girl, they don't speak Chinese. They speak Mandarin or Cantonese. Pick one. But yeah, Christina just looks like the studious older sister of the barefoot Contessa. But she writes romance novels, and this is a real fun novel. So I'm sure I'm just, again, judging a book by the cover. I'm sure she was she was a weeb before all of us, okay? Like I said, she was in a very Chinese time in her life before it was cool. She was a pioneer. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. I've teased y'all enough. Let's get into East of Forever. Our story begins London, England, May 1819. Great year. We have, don't laugh, midnight. She studied with monks in Shaolin. She's a master of the Chinese art wushu, but she is a London-born woman. And I will go ahead and kind of preface as she is described with predominantly like what could be Asian features. She has long black hair. She has very dark, almost blue eyes. Like they're so dark they shine blue. Very pale skin. She was raised in China, and to which I'm just kind of like, you could have just made this a Chinese woman. This story would have been fine if you just made her Chinese. Just made her a Chinese woman. But it was a time. God forbid we did that. We had to have, no. It's a white woman raised by Chinese people. She is sneaking into her ex's mansion because he has the infamous pillow book that she needs to give to the Triad, which is like the Foot Clan in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. In this book, they're called the Triad, and they are making her get this pillow book so they will give her dad back. She sneaks into her ex Tony Moreland's house because he has it. And as she is sneaking in, she hasn't seen this man in 10 years. He is definitely pretty much fucking another woman. Like, she's sneaking in and she can hear him and another girl kind of getting it on. Talk about awkward. As she is sneaking in and being distracted by the obvious, she tries to go through the Art of War textbook and remember quotes from it in times of strife, as we all do. We all go through the Art of War quotes in times of strife. Again, they really lay it on thick. Christina really lays it on thick that she is like very Chinese in these first few chapters of she's just dripping in the Orient. The book is diamond encrusted, bound in gold, with illustrations designed to kindle the jaded appetites of an emperor who had tasted every pleasure and possessed every treasure known among the 4 seas. A pillow book said to be 1,000 years old, each exquisite page detailing a different path to erotic pleasures. And that book was the one thing that would buy her father's release. Midnight frowned. Misbegotten son of a turtle. Where was that blasted book? Tony, of course, nearly catches her. He's knee-deep in somebody and kind of can tell someone's in his room. He is on a secret diplomatic mission for the Chinese emperor, and that's why he needs the book or has the book. Midnight's real name, if you can guess, that's not her birth name. That's the name that the Shaolin monks gave her. Duh. Her name is Francesca Cameron, and she is called Chessie. Little Chessie. And she fails in her mission. She scampers off. Now, we cut to the next day, and Tony Moreland is discussing the pillow book with a bunch of British diplomats, and they're all, very conservative. They think a pillow book's nasty. And it goes like this. Aye, guides to hellfire and damnation by the sound of it. This salvo came from Lord Warburton, whose views were notoriously rigid. Lord Moreland, that's Tony, smiled faintly. By our way of thinking, perhaps, Warburton. But there are those who say physical union may be a technique to ecstasy. To religious salvation. When it's done properly, of course. The other men around the table burst into sharp guffaws. And I like that. I think it's funny because some people put damnation on sex. Some people think it's the closest you can get to God. Which camp are you on? Tony Moreland, a lot of the first few chapters, I put the note like, is this written by Tony? Because it's a lot of Tony. We get a lot of exposition on Tony more so than dear little Chessie Midnight. But Tony is the charge of 2 little kids. And y'all help me out here. We have little baby Jeremy, and he's like 10 or something. No, I think he's not. I don't know. He's like 8 or something. He can wipe his butt. And then the little girl who's like 5, her name is, and I'm going to spell it out first, E-L-S, P-E-T-H. Elspeth? Elspeth. How do you say that name? Elspeth. Elspeth? Little baby Ellie. We're going to call her little baby Ellie and little baby Jeremy. And Tony is in charge of them because they are his niece and nephew. Now, how did their parents die? Well, Tony's twin brother, Andrew, and his wife died in, get this, a drunk carriage accident. Now, I know what you're saying. How? Was the horse drunk? How do you drunk drive in a carriage? How? 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 I don't know, but maybe one of them jumped out. It doesn't say. It just says, like, drunk driving in a horse carriage, both died. And now Tony is in charge of little baby Jeremy and little baby Ellie. We learn Chessie's dad employed Tony way back in the day. They go way back. Tony worked for Chessie's dad. Chessie's dad is kind of Brendan Fraser in The Mummy. He is spelunking. He is finding artifacts for London, which we now know is stealing. But back then, it was seen as exploring and architectural or archaeological digs and, you know, totally not stealing artifacts from one country to put in your own. But guess what Chessie's dad's name is? And this was written in 1993. James Cameron. So obviously James Cameron is busy making the Titanic at this time, because we all know James Cameron made the Titanic. So James Cameron and Tony go way back. And so Chessie knew Tony when she was a child. And I know what we're doing. We're already squirming. Yeah, get ready to squirm. Before we get into that, though, so Tony needs to go find James Cameron. He doesn't know he's been kidnapped. And so he goes to James Cameron's London estate. He's like, I need to see James Cameron. And this girl shows up, and she's in, like, frumpy clothes, and she's sweeping, and she's like, he doesn't live here. Get the fuck out. And he's kind of arguing with her. He's like, what do you mean he doesn't live here? It has his name on the fucking door. Like, stop. You're just a dumb little wench. And as he's yelling at her, he's, of course, a very lecherous man. I mean, the first time we saw him, he was, again, just hip deep in another girl. And so as he's yelling at this wench, he's also noticing her shapely little ankles that are showing through. Slut. And he's noticing that under those frumpy clothes, she's got a pretty nice bod. And she's got really pretty long black hair and eyes that shine like amethysts, and they're very familiar. Is that little Chessie? Is that James's daughter, little Chessie? I love the detail that he said she smells of strawberry and mint. In London in the 1800s. How? Strawberries weren't even invented in the 1800s, I don't think. I'm just kidding. But, like, where the fuck would she have strawberries and mint in 1800s London? I doubt it. Tony. I think you're just romanticizing that she probably took a bath and doesn't smell like shit, like everything else in that time period. Strawberries and mint's a pretty bold thing, okay? Y'all, my least favorite trope happens. They're fighting, and I forget exactly how. I'm sorry. I read this, like, I read every day. Like, I read a little bit every day. So some of these early chapters, literally, I read 3 weeks ago. But she passes out. I don't know if everybody was anemic back then. Everybody had low blood sugar. Maybe she needed a strawberry and a mint on her. Maybe that's why she had a little strawberry candy and some mints in her purse, like we all do, because her blood sugar gets low. Maybe that's why she smelled like them. I get it. I keep some snacks on me because I'm anemic and I will pass out if I don't have iron. Because you know how it is. Like, you just get so busy you forget to eat. And that will happen to me. And I'll just go all day. And then it'll be like 4:30 and I still have a whole day left to do. And I'm like, well, I'm about to faint in the middle of this Target. But anyways, she passes out because authors apparently don't know how to get from one location to the next without some character passing out. Drives me nuts. As he's carrying her up the stairs, though, this is a small detail. The things that I've pick apart are very stupid, but I want to talk about it. As he's carrying her up the stairs, she dreams that it is snowing and that snow is falling into her mouth. Don't worry, it's flower petals, but still, if I passed out and I wake up because something is in my mouth, I'm not thinking it's snow, and I'm surely not thinking it's flower petals. I'm going to freak the fuck out. What the fuck is in my mouth? No, no. I would probably think it was dandruff, honestly. If someone's carrying me and something falls in your mouth, like as you're waking up, I'm going to be like, oh my God, someone's dandruff's in my mouth. They have a Spider-Man meme moment of pointing at each other, asking, why are you here? Why are you here? Because Chessie's like, why are you at my dad's house? Why do you need to see my dad? And then Tony is like, why are you at your dad's house? Where is your dad? Chessie brings up that her father would not want to see Tony. They left on bad terms. Apparently, Tony and James Cameron were very close, almost like father and son, which makes this romance novel a little more squeamish. But they were like so close. And just one day, Tony just up and left. Just left. No goodbye, no reason. We will learn why, don't worry. But he just up and left. And it broke James Cameron and Chessie's heart. And so she's like, he wouldn't even want to see your fucking ass if you were, like, go away. He wouldn't even want to see you if he was here. And Tony, as she's yelling at him, notices, like, she has no food. Because he's like, you haven't offered me any fucking tea. Any crumpets. Rude. And she has no food. She has no tea. She has no crumpets. She has no scones. She's broke. And he's like, did your dad leave you with no fucking money? That piece of fucking shit. He left his daughter in London with no money. She's poor. Ew. Like, her dad's missing, and he's like, yeah, but you're broke. Gross. I want to have this little excerpt so we can kind of get a vibe. I've been talking about them. Let's get a vibe of, like, their personalities as best as I can act them. Disclaimer, not a professional voice actress. That will be made very clear here shortly. Not trying to be. This is not my audition for Audible. I'm just trying to bring to life. We're just trying to have fun, okay? So when you tell me in the comments you don't sound British, no fucking shit. Nobody is more aware of that than me, okay? Now, Chessie was raised in China, so she's not going to have a British accent, but at the same time, we are not going to give her anything but a standard white accent because, nope. He's grabbing her. He's doing that hero. God, I keep saying heroin. I'm from Shreveport, so I'm thinking of heroin. Heroin. What? How do you say the hero as a girl? Heroin? Is it heroin? That's a drug. Here I am talking about British accents, and I literally can't say some English words myself. The female hero, she is fighting him off because he is doing that guy thing of he's holding her shoulders. Where is he, Chessie? Where is he? Where's your father? And she's like, get off of me. Moreland's body went rigid. What are you trying to hide, Chessie? Hide? Her heart lurched. Why should I want to hide anything from you? I was just asking myself that very question. Moreland's elbow flexed slightly. His chest loomed inches closer. Where is he, Francesca? Off sermonizing at the British Museum? Sequestered with his cronies at the Royal Geographical Society? By God, when I find this man, I'll draw and quarter him. His face might have been carved out of granite. His eyes from Himalayan turquoise. Do the Himalayas have turquoise? Anyways. Chessie barely noticed Francesca. How she hated that awkward name. She hadn't heard it in years. Certainly she hadn't heard it said the way he had. Of which he literally just said, like, Francesca. We get the backstory of how Chessie and Tony know each other. We have to remember this was written at a time of a time. You cannot do modern values on the things that I'm about to say. It's not crazy bad, but it's like still kind of like, okay. So remember, Tony worked for James Cameron. He knew Chessie since she was very, very young and thought of her like little sister. Don't get ahead of me. And one day when she was 15 and they were playing, he noticed she was not a child physically. I don't like 15's obviously still very much a child. But you know how these books do. And back then they're like, what is the disgusting saying? If it bleeds, it breeds. Yeah. And he notices it when she turned 15 that she was not a child and that he saw her differently. And I will give Tony credit. He feels disgusted with himself. He is not into this. He's like, that's little baby Chessie. No, no. And so he tries to avoid her, but she's into him because she's 15 and she's not around like any probably like young men. But okay, it says that he was almost entering his 30s. So she's 15 and he's like, I mean, anything older than 25, no, no, no. It says he's nearly in his 30s. She's 15. They make out one day. I will give Tony a shred. Not a lot, because he made out with a 15-year-old. But he had the guilt and decency to immediately leave the country the next day. That's why Tony left. Like, Tony left without telling James. He left, and Chessie was heartbroken because obviously the first man you kiss when you're 15, you're in love with for the rest of your life. But James and Chessie were heartbroken that Tony, a member of their family essentially, just up and left. But he was just so disgusted with himself for taking advantage. Like, he's like, I took advantage of a 15-year-old. Like, it's not perfect, but it's not like he was like, yeah, I made out with a 15-year-old. So he has left the country. 10 years past. Here we are. So she must be 25, obviously. If he was nearly 30 and it's been 10 years, he's almost 40. Gross. Not 40-year-olds. Not 40-year-olds. I'm just saying 25 to an almost 40-year-old. I don't know. We're getting too into it. Anyways. Chessie faints again. I guess because she's hungry. She doesn't have a lot of food. Tony makes her an omelet and a pancake. And again, the details I write that are important to me. That's an omelet and pancakes. That's a big breakfast, especially if you haven't had a lot of food. I'm imagining her stomach's very small because she hasn't had a lot of food to eat. That's a lot of food. She's going to get sick if she eats too much too quickly. Also, this is 1800s London. Where did he find the stuff to make a pancake and an omelet? Did they have omelets back then? When were omelets made? When was that invented? Who made omelets? What are the history of omelets, y'all? I'm going to read an excerpt from this chapter just so we can kind of get the sexual tension that is happening between these two characters, because I'm so sorry, my dogs are barking. It's really throwing off the vibes. Tony is racked with guilt for finding Chessie attractive. He's just like, this is little Chessie. Like, I left the country and here she, like, he is so in love with her though. He's like, I fucking love Chessie. And Chessie loves Tony. She hasn't been, of course, with anybody else. She has maintained her virtue for this one guy she kissed when she was 15 because nobody else would do. You were with Shaolin monks in China. Not one of them buff, tan, greased up Shaolin monks turned you on. But this little flesh-haired white man from London who's almost 40, he's doing it for you? Chessie. They are both very into each other. Gross. He is interrogating her once more. What the fuck are you doing here? Where is your father? She had never been able to hide anything from this man. And if she didn't get him out of here soon, she'd disgrace herself with tears. Or she'd reveal everything. Girl, you haven't seen him in 10 years. What are you talking about? Anyways, she could never let that happen. Dragging in a raw breath, she opened her eyes. Lord, she'd forgotten how tall he was. Her head eased back to meet his look, and the movement sent her midnight hair tumbling free. Like a cloud of black silk, it spilled down her back and covered her hands where Moreland held them against the wall. Damn, she's got long hair. Chessie saw a muscle flash at his jaw. As she struggled for some story to ward him off, her gaze fell to the bronze skin at the collar of his shirt. He had removed his jacket and his cravat while he worked. I love when a man removes his cravat. His shirt was open. A fine white dusting of flour coated the crisp bronze hairs at his chest. Chessie's breath caught oddly. Mesmerized, she studied the dense, springy hairs, the same color as his skin. Her tongue swept at her dry lips. Suddenly, all she could think was how it would feel to run her fingers through that hot, dense tangle where bronze hair met bronze skin. With a choked sound, she jerked her face upward, feeling heat flood her cheeks. Moreland's eyes narrowed. His body went completely still. Bloody hell. Even his breath seemed to cease. You really have grown up, haven't you, Cricket? Chessie's chest rose and fell jerkily. What does that look like? Because you have... What is a jerk... Like, what does a jerk chest fall look like? Anyways, she was somewhere between flying and fainting, and she couldn't feel her feet. It's because you're anemic. She needs steak, not omelets. Heavens, she couldn't feel anything but the hot, aching inches where their bodies met at thigh and wrist and finger. It was the end and the beginning of 1,000 schoolgirl dreams. Except that now it was real, and the man touching her was of the keenest flesh and blood, and she was a schoolgirl no longer. Let me go. It was the merest whisper of a sound. Moreland didn't move. Jessie, he murmured. Sweet Lord above. His fingers shifted, one hand moving to the thick, lustrous hair cascading over her shoulders. You smell like sandalwood and orange blossoms. Your hair is so beautiful. It was always beautiful. Her breath caught in a whimper. She closed her eyes against the desire she read in his face, for she knew all of those things were in her own eyes, and she couldn't bear for him to see. Please, Tony, let me go. Where have you been for the last 10 years of my life, Cricket? What sweet, wild things have you been learning without me? Show me, Jessie. Show me now. His hands slid through her thick hair and eased lower where her hair fringed the softness of her hips. He inched closer, his thighs hard against her belly. Jessie blinked as she felt the telltale hardness, felt the heat and hunger of this man, and deep inside she welcomed those things, because in spite of all the time past, this was Tony, the only man she'd ever loved, the laughing, golden English stranger whom she'd adored with a schoolgirl's fervor that she'd never quite recovered from. And then somehow her hands were curving over his shoulders. Her fingers slid through the textured bronze of his hair. God, Jessie, you can't. I'd be insane to even consider. Then Moreland groaned as she finally did what she'd been longing to do, and combed her fingers through the flower-strewn hair at the open neck of his shirt. He was warm, and he was hard. He was everything she'd dreamed of. 10 years of forbidden fantasies had not prepared her for the reality of skin upon warm skin. A decade of dreams found their blazing culmination in that second, and Jessie felt a wild delirium sweep over her, freeing her from the past, parting her from her future, until now there was nothing left but now. One sweet, trembling moment with a myriad, dizzying texture of feeling. Flower, your chest, Jessie swallowed, trying to marshal her chaotic thoughts. She raised her eyes and stared at Moreland's mouth, which was locked in a taut line. Even then her fantasy would not release her. How would it feel if he? Her fingers slid deeper, tugging lightly through his hair as she traced the hollow of his collarbone from neck to shoulder. She shivered as she felt the tension in his muscles, felt the hard ridge of his collarbone, the subtle warmth of his skin. 10 years? It felt like yesterday. Sweet God above. And then somehow she was crushed against him, her heart lurching as he anchored the back of her head with endless care and brought his mouth down against hers. His first touch was soft, tentative, almost fearful. He eased closer, mouth molded to hers, his breath a soft, restless counterpoint to the sliding pressure of his lips. Jessie forgot how to breathe, forgot how to think, forgot everything but how perfect it felt to touch him so. As a woman, not a girl. Her fingers tensed. She held on for dear life, feeling logic, habit, and the beliefs of a lifetime sweep away before the aching purity of his touch. His hand splayed open against her hip. Groaning, he urged her against his rigid thighs, and at the same time his mouth opened, moving with slow thoroughness from one curve of her lip to the other. His tongue teased the closed line of her mouth. Jessie felt him shudder. A wild curiosity seized her, and with a gasp she opened to his sleek, probing pressure, welcoming him inside her, drinking in his heat and strength. The change in him was instant and electric. He pulled her closer, opening his legs to catch her between the hardness of his thighs while his tongue found hers. 10 years whirled past in a second. Chessie could almost feel the deck pitch beneath her, hear the creak of rigging tossed in the fresh tropical wind. She's reminiscing of when they first made out. For years, she dreamed of reliving that moment and finding out what would have happened next. Now she had been given the chance. Even while her mind screamed out for her to deny him, to shove him away, Chessie realized she could not. Not when he was everything she'd ever dreamed of. And damn if she'd let him know he was the only man she'd kissed in 10 years. Her fingers pulled him closer. Her lips closed sleekly around him. God, Chessie. The fingers buried in her hair tightened convulsively. More. Chessie made a low, lost sound as he eased her lower lip between his teeth. It was a dark, erotic slide of friction that made her dream of all the other exquisite textures of skin on skin that he could teach her. That, let's be honest, stupid that we ever wrote that women could only be with one man. I mean, even Tony was like, show me all the things you've learned in 10 years. Like, I know you've been with other men. Even he knew, like, you've probably been with other men. Like, and he was okay with it. He was like, show me what you've learned, girl. And because, again, pre-2000s and all the slut shaming, women just had to kiss one guy at 15 and then never kiss anybody else. Never even think about anybody else. She was in a whole different country. They both hate themselves afterwards. She hates herself for letting Tony kiss her because she's like, I need to focus on finding my dad. I cannot be distracted by Tony. He feels guilty because he's like, this is little baby Chessie. This is the whole reason I left. And here she is again. We learn that Andrew, Tony's twin brother, was not an upstanding citizen. And for years after Andrew's death, Tony had to really clean up a lot of stuff because people were coming to him thinking that he was Andrew because they're identical. And so he had a lot of Andrew's mess to clean up when Andrew died. And that will come back later because Andrew was a real messy boy. Tony suffers an old knee injury. He was in a war. Pick one. He was in a war. And of course, back then, you know, you think injuries are rough now. Imagine getting a fucking cannonball to the knee and no medicine. They were like, well, just walk it off, Tony. And so he has a terrible, terrible bad knee. Chessie is Catwomaning. She's out doing her Catwoman thing, trying to find that pillow book, trying to sneak in Tony's house, of which at this point, I feel like you could just seduce him and go get the pillow book. But I guess Shaolin monks didn't teach her the art of seduction. But we do learn her backstory. She went when she was 15. And James Cameron was in a lot of trouble because, again, he was stealing from other countries. But they kind of paint it like, you know, in Johnny Quest, where all these white people are stealing all of these artifacts. And they're like, oh, these savages are trying to stop us. And so James Cameron was always in a lot of hot water. And so to protect his daughter, he sends her to a temple to learn to fight. You know, Kung Fu Pandaing up there, I guess. And she really likes it. She has a great time. She's there disguised as a boy. Is this Mulan? But a Chinese princess falls in love with her. And so the monks are like, you have to leave. Because the monks know that she's a girl. But she, you know, is disguised as a man. And then, like I said, the Chinese princess keeps seeing her around town. And she's like, I want to marry him. And the monks are like, ooh. So you got to go. Because that's about to be a problem. Because we can't deny a Chinese princess. But I want that story. I want to hear from the Chinese princess. I want to hear about her going to the market, seeing some hot, white guy. She thought it was a white guy. White guy trained with the monks. And she's just like, give me a piece of that. They probably flirted, you know. They probably stole some glances at each other. Little Midnight up and left and broke this princess's heart. Like, where's that side story? What happened to the princess? I'm more interested in that. I bet money in a fictional way that Chessie and the Chinese princess probably flirted. I bet Chessie, because you don't just like want to marry someone just from looking at them from across the room. Well, in these stories you kind of do. But I bet there was a love story. Someone write that. Someone, again, these stories always like have this like real, not even a B plot, but like a F plot that I'm like, where's that? What happened there? You're not just going to gloss over that. But we have way more to the story. I'm focusing on the wrong things. So sorry. She's infiltrating Tony's house. Because she is so Chinese, she immediately assesses the terrible feng shui in his house. Which, again, is like gratuitously stereotypical. Of which I like feng shui. It's always fun in theory to me. But sometimes I feel, and this is maybe my ignorance, but sometimes I feel it's a little too nitpicky. Because not everybody has the space to put their couch on the west-facing side, or to put their bed north-facing to this east and stuff. Like, sometimes I'm like, all right, like, if my fucking finances crumble because I put a mirror in the wrong corner, there's not much I can do about it. I like a loose feng shui, because I do think there is a way to, like, make a room really pop off in the energy flow, but sometimes I think they're a little too, like, all right, ease up. As she's sneaking in, she does that thing that we see in a lot of movies where Tony's asleep on a chair with a pillow book. He has it, and it's just kind of dangling right there. And she's inching closer. You can see her, like, right under that chair, just trying to pick it, just trying to get it. And he does that stupid thing of he, like, kind of wakes up and pulls the book closer. And she's like, God damn it. I just would have, I mean, she should be quick. I know she's not a ninja, different cultures, but she's obviously a spy and can, like, grab that thing and disappear into the night. Your name is Midnight. But she doesn't get the book. And then as she's hiding, because Tony kind of stirs and gets up to go get, like, a glass of water or something, she notices he is limping bad. And so she takes notice of that terrible, terrible knee injury, of which she could use. Just knock him in the knee and get the fucking book and get out of there. Tony, the next day, Chessie's in her house. He doesn't know what happened. But she wakes up and there's a butler and a maid in her house. Tony has sent her some staff paid by him to help her keep house. Which, truly, this day and age, if you're really wanting to court somebody, send a cleaning crew, send a person to make a meal. Yeah, pay for someone to come clean my house. That would be great. Don't buy me a drink. Pay for a maid to come clean my house for the day. We learned this little tidbit of Chessie is being raised in China and not in London. She cannot read English. And that's going to be important later. But take note, she can't read English. Tony and a duchess visit. And the duchess is very Lady Catherine de Bourgh from Pride and Prejudice. Just an old rich lady that has a hand in society. And as Chessie is waiting on them, Tony is imagining her as a wife. She's literally an assassin. Like, not an assassin, but she's like a spy. And she does all this cool stuff. And he is reducing her to a fucking wife in a house that is serving he's like, look at her. She's so cute as she serves us tea. She'd be such a cute wife. No. I never know where I am with Tony. We'll get more into him. He's a very complicated male character in this novel. Because they're either pieces of shit or they're great. And he's really in between. Because, like, he did kiss her when she was 15. But he did leave the country. He felt bad. He had remorse. And then we have to remember, like, at the time you could kiss a 15-year-old. So it wasn't like it was taboo at the time. It's just taboo to us, rightfully so. And then he stops himself from having sex with her when they were making out that one time. He stops himself because he's like, no, this isn't right. And then he sends her staff to help take care of her house. But then he is also like, oh, she'd be a cute little wife. Ew. And that's just gross. I almost said Lady Catherine de Bourgh. The Duchess invites Chessie to a ball because the Duchess is like, you look just like a girl I know. You're gorgeous, just like she is. I want to introduce you to society. Let me sponsor you and bring you into London society. And Chessie is worried. She reluctantly agrees because she's going to get intel. Although she knows that Tony has the pillow book. But I guess there's more intel to gather about her dad. Like where exactly he is, I don't remember. It's very loosely described. She's like, I'm going to gather information at the ball. Okay. Like, you just want to wear a nice dress. That's okay. But she is worried that she can't read the menu or the dance cards. And that's kind of like, that's warranted. She has a really great moment I would love to see when this is made into a made-for-TV movie, because one day Netflix is going to, or Hulu is going to buy this channel, and I get to host like Elvira, and we get to make these into like drunk, what is that show, Drunk History, Drunk America, Drunk History, where I will recap them and we'll just have people act them out. But until then, the Duchess sends her a gown that she made for Chessie in this ball, and we have her little Cinderella moment. And the gown is violet amethyst silk, and it is in a Western style, so the big poofy prom dress style, but it has phoenix and cranes embroidered on it, which I thought was really sweet. And instead of uncomfortable heels, because Chessie's not used to wearing London fashion like shoes like the heels, the Duchess got her doe skin slippers, and she has little gardenias in her hair, and I just thought that was really pretty, of this like gorgeous, like her hair and her eyes are so dark that they're shining almost purple, and then she's got this beautiful purple silk gown with dragons and cranes embroidered on it, and she has that necklace that is on the cover, which is the double string pink pearls with the little dragon phoenix medallion in the middle. And then she's got gardenias in her hair, and she's wearing these cute little simple doeskin slippers. It sounds beautiful. Like, I would love to see a doll made of this. I wish I could make dolls, because I would make dolls of, like, some of these books have really beautiful Cinderella moments for our heroines, for our female heroes. Not much happens at the ball that's super important. It's more or less just like the Pride and Prejudice ball, where like Chessie's flirting, she's getting attention from all these men, and Tony's having to watch for once, and he is just sharking the water, Mr. Darcy, just circling. And he is so pissed, and he's not dancing with anybody, and he's just drinking champagne after champagne and champagne. And the Duchess is cracking up. She thinks this is hilarious. Tony corners Chessie. Okay. Tony corners Chessie in a greenhouse during the ball, and they make out, and he pulls her boobs out of her dress. There's no easy way to say it. He pulls her tits out of her dress and plays with them in this greenhouse, and they're having a hot, steamy moment. And it's a lot of fun. There's a detail that says even the dragons on her medallion were quaking, they were about to just fly off of the medallion. They were shaking so much. And I'm like, I'm sure they were, while he was juggling her boobs. I have this as a Patreon plug. They don't have sex, but it's too much to say on YouTube, because YouTube will like not let me have ad content if it's like too raunchy. But Patreon plug. So I have a Patreon. Don't worry, the highest level is like $7. For $3, you get steamy scenes. This one, you get all the sex scenes, including this one. But this one, like I said, they don't have sex in this greenhouse, but they definitely aren't just making out. And I want to tell y'all about it because it's written real great. I'll give y'all a little teaser of, he definitely yanks her dress up and down and just gets to work. But for $3, you get to hear that and future sex scenes in this novel. For $5, we do a movie. And this month's movie to accompany this is Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan. And I know what you're saying, Montana. How do you pick these movies? I pick them because I like them. And I love Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan in it because it is a very random movie. My God, I watch it. The first time I watched it, I was like, I had to go look at the Wikipedia because watching it isn't enough. You have to have someone explain what is happening because you're just going to have to pay $5 and listen to it. But it's one of my favorite. It's a very of the time. It's very kitschy. I love the cinematography of Rumble in the Bronx. The lighting and the costume and the set design is so of the time, and I fucking love it. I love that time. I love that era. It's got Jackie Chan in a like baby blue onesie doing karate moves. Like, it literally starts off at a wedding with a Chinese man marrying this beautiful black woman. And you're like, okay, work. And then by the end of it, there's a child in a wheelchair and there's diamonds in his wheelchair and thugs are trying to chase him in a park. Like, you're like, how did we get from here to here? But anyways, we're going to do Rumble in the Bronx for $5. You can watch and recap. I'll recap that with you and we can discuss it. And then for $7, I am a journalist at heart. And so I do still have the privilege to subscribe to a lot of magazines. And there's a lot of great articles out there that I just like to bring to attention and discuss. Don't worry. They're not political. They're not super heavy discussions. I try to pick fun, light ones. But sometimes, like we do talk, there's one where we talked about AI. We've talked about Sinners and how Sinners was created. We talked about Martha Stewart's first book and how Generation Z is now trying to redo that level of hostessing. And like, is that even a thing? We discuss a lot of cultural things, I think. And that is the Patreon plug. I won't talk about it anymore. Chessie, after their rendezvous in the greenhouse, she does this thing. And I can't believe this was written by a woman. She's mad at Tony for wanting her. And she's like, how dare you? You think I'm some fucking slut. And he's like, you know what? You're right. You're not a slut. I need to treat you with respect. I'll put your boobs back in your corset. I'm so sorry. Let me just plop those right back in there. But then she gets mad because she's like, oh, so you don't want me. So you don't want me. You think I'm ugly. You think I'm just some dumb, like, not Chinese, not white girl. Some kind of, like, fucking creature. And he's like, I don't know what to do right now. I'll give Tony credit. Like, she definitely flips the script on him, and it's very confusing. She gets mad at him because he's treating her like a whore. But then when he stops treating her with desire, she's like, oh, am I not good enough for you? Am I ugly? Do you think I'm ugly? Do you think I'm stupid? And poor Tony's just like, And see, this is why when you're entering your fucking 40s, you don't go fuck around with a 25-year-old because they play games. Tony needs to go find someone who knows how to take care of that goddamn knee. As he is still kind of holding her, he feels her muscles. She is not a wafy little London girl. She is a warrior. She has backstrap. She's got shoulders. She's got biceps, triceps. She's got muscles. They probably didn't even have names for back then. They didn't know what pectorals were. And he also sees her scarred hands. She does not have dainty little hands. She's got very scarred hands. It reminded me of Tigress in Kung Fu Panda 3, where Poe's like, how are your knuckles so hard? And she's like, I just punch wood all the time. He's like, what the fuck have you been doing for the past 10 years? And she says, ancient Chinese secret I'll never tell. Those who know the commercial know the commercial. That was a commercial back in the day for, laundry soap? And he bids her goodnight, but most certainly not goodbye. We enter this character that is not crazy important, but nonetheless, I do need to mention her because she is a plot device. Is Louisa Landringham. Louisa Landringham. She really, really, really wants Tony, and he does not want her. And nobody says no to Louisa Landringham. And she is a very affectionately physical woman. So much so that she brainstorms her revenge against Tony while sucking another man's dick in a horse carriage. Really gets the juices flowing. Really, you got to find your Zen moment that gets your brain activity up. And for her, it is being tonsil deep in another man while trying to plot how you're going to get another man. Hoes are going to hoe. I want to have this moment with Chessie because she lives a complicated life. She is obviously not Chinese, but she is not a typical white lady. She was raised in a different environment, and so she doesn't really have a place to call home. She doesn't know where she belongs, where she fits in. And as she is in her old room, there's an old little doll of hers. She's just kind of having one of those like reflection moments. And she reminisces on how important her father is and how she has to find him. She cannot be distracted by Tony anymore. He had been her world then and ever since. If sometimes she had missed having a mother to advise and comfort her, to tell her the things that girls sometimes needed to hear, she never showed it, for fear of hurting the man who had worked so hard to be both father and mother to her. Nor did Chessie tell him the names the other girls had called her at the missionary school she attended. Things like mixed blood and slant eye, and things far worse, things that had taken her many years to understand completely. Even then, the general meaning had been clear enough, along with the hatred and envy that had spewed out, or with those words. She was as English as they were, of course, as innocent as they were, but that did not matter. She and her father were different. They spoke the heathen tongue, they studied the heathen culture, and at times they even adopted heathen dress. Yes, James Cameron and his daughter were very different, and in that narrow, closed little colonial society, anything different was a threat. So Chessie had been mocked and shunned, and she, with her stubborn Cameron pride, had told her father nothing about it. She had been especially careful not to tell him how the English boys stared at her with lazy, knowing grins and found reasons to be nearby so they could drop their books and brush against her with their hot, groping fingers. And the names they whispered were even worse than the names that their sisters used. Clutching the threadbare doll, Chessie threw her hands over her ears, trying to block out the memory of those rough words and the hollow, mocking laughter. But she never quite succeeded. Even now, she felt as if the laughter hung close by, waiting to mock her. Only at her exercises did she manage to keep the jeers at bay, or when she was in a deep excavation with her father, the more demanding the better. But ever since her father's capture, Chessie had begun to feel the laughing voices were winning. As every day passed, they grew louder, warning her that her father's time was growing short, and she could never succeed. Carefully, Chessie straightened the old doll and placed it back upon the bed. Outside, the rain grew harder, smashing and hammering at the window. The sound pulled her back to her earliest memories, which were as bleak and cold as the London streets. So I know we're picking on the whole trope of white lady raised in another country, but let's try to have some sympathy and think about at this time that would have been very difficult because she's just as white as they are. She's just as English, but because her and her dad, wear quote unquote Oriental clothing and speak the language and probably eat the food and hang out with Chinese people or just anybody that's not white, they're just as bad as if they were Chinese in the eyes of these white people. After the ball, Chessie is obviously getting a ton of attention from suitors. Tony comes in. Remember, he was getting all the attention because he was Chessie's little long lost love when she was 15. But now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry in London, is at her place trying to hit her up. And so if you can just picture Tony opening the door with some flowers and the maid and butler that he hired are if you could just go put those with all of the others, she'll be with you shortly. She's a little busy. And Tony's sitting there holding flowers that are probably not as good as the grand bouquets that are probably flocking the parlor right now. And so he goes and puts his little measly fucking carnations and daisies over there next to orchids and shit. And he's just where the fuck is Chessie? And Chessie's just oh, Steven, you're so funny. Ha 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 ha. I don't know. And so Tony is pressed. He drags her outside. They fight over their makeout session from the greenhouse as if it's nothing. It kind of is nothing. Y'all were drunk and you made out at a party. Calm down. And here is their fight. Tony is trying to, he's trying to be look, girl, I want you. I want to court you properly. Let me do it right. Let me not fondle you in the greenhouse. Let me do you right. And Chessie's she's 25. She's no. She's very confused. She's got a lot on her plate. His hand slid slowly from her hair. Talk to me, Chessie. Tell me what you want. But Chessie hardened her heart and willed down the hand that yearned to smooth and comfort the crease between his eyes. Better this way, she thought. Better with all the hope severed and only the pain and anger left between them. Yes, this was the only safe way. She forced her face to icy impassivity. You disgust me, my lord. Her voice was flat, even though her skin trembled and her heart drummed madly against his. I shall thank you to leave this house now and never return. To her fury, Chessie felt a sharp prick of tears. Dear God, she must make him leave. She couldn't hold out much longer. And should we have the misfortune to meet again, I shall give no sign that I have ever known you. For the Tony Moreland that I once knew is gone. Dead. Her voice caught. Perhaps the Chessie Cameron he knew back then is also dead. Moreland's face went pale. A muscle flashed at his jaw. Chessie thought, feared, that he meant to speak. But he only stared down at her in a terrible, harsh silence. And then in one swift movement, he pulled away and offered her a perfect, heartbreaking bow. In that case, there's nothing more to say, is there? You've made your wishes perfectly clear. His mouth set in a bitter smile. As for myself, I shall remain your servant, Miss Cameron, for now and forever. And then he was gone. Woo! I don't know. I kind of feel she fucked up. This is why you don't fuck around with fucking 25-year-olds. Again, I don't know whose side I'm on, because Chessie's so cool. She is very young and stupid and naive. She's very Mean Girls. She's very Lindsay Lohan in Mean Girls. This is we should be watching Mean Girls instead. No, we're still going to watch Rumble in the Bronx. I already said it. But Mean Girls would also go with this very well. Of like very worldly, raised in other cultures, literally knows more about the world than all the high school students. But here she is in London society. Might as well be an alien. She's fucking up left and right. Chessie goes to the attic and trains away her grief. Fairy flowers in the attic. She's doing her Tai Chi up there. She breaks into Tony's house again. Again, I just feel like at this point you could have just seduced him and gotten the book. But y'all, the book's a dupe. The book's not the book she needs. Now she's back to square fucking one. She lost Tony, and now she don't even know where the fucking book is. God damn it. He catches her getting that book, and they fight. Now, he ain't like hitting her. He's trying to restrain her, shirtless. And she's very distracted by how hot he is. But she's trying to fight back. And he's like, where the fuck did you learn to fight? Like as he's like blocking and restraining and like, you know, whoa, Chessie, what the fuck? Where did you learn to do all this? Like she's fucking like just, wah. There's a noise outside though. We gotta hide. And he like shoves her behind a screen or something. I like the detail as she's hiding in his closet. That's right. She's hiding in his closet. And his smell is of spicy soap, leather, and gardenias because he kept the gardenias she was wearing at the ball. I don't know if that's sweet or creepy. You tell me. I'm going to say it's sweet. I think it's cute because we all remember in high school or college, you'd keep your boyfriend's sweater and smell it. Just me. Let me be so bold as to say, just to make this a safe space of cringe. Because if you're cringe, you're free. Whenever my favorite K-pop idol mentions a cologne he wears, I do go buy a sample of it. And I do smell it. I get it, Tony. I get it. You got to get all the senses. You got to look at them, you got to hear them, and you want to smell them. It is the triad that showed up. They are fighting, and they stab Tony with a dagger that is soaked in fugu poisoning. Now, fugu is a Japanese pufferfish delicacy, not Chinese. I don't know if Christina got her wires crossed. I'm sure they have fugu in Chinese. I'm not saying that it's strictly a Japanese thing. I'm just saying she uses the Japanese word for it because fugu is the Japanese term for it. I don't know if she got her wires crossed because, you know, she's just so trilingual. She's so trilingual, speaking Chinese and Japanese and French. She just must have got it confused, as we all do. But anyways, they stab him with a dagger soaked in poisonous pufferfish. And they leave because the book's a dupe and they're like, God damn it. And as Tony is dying, Chessie whips out her acupuncture needles and starts just doing Chinese acupuncture on him to try to keep him alive. To which I can't help but be like, where did she have those on her? Why would you carry those with you at all times? Does she always carry acupuncture needles? In London, that'd be hard to keep clean. I'd be a little nervous. I guess everywhere was alcohol, so you could kind of clean them before you had to use it. I don't know. And as he is passing in and out of consciousness from the fugu poisoning. He is remembering that beautiful day when him and Chessie, I guess, fell in love. I guess. It's kind of... But he is remembering that day, tropical winds, they're on a boat deck or a boat or something, and he's tossing her in the air, and they're playing like an older brother and a little sister, and then he looks her in the eyes and doesn't feel very familial anymore. It says this: he had caught her, still laughing, still the amused, half-mocking older brother she'd always wanted but never had. It had been an embrace of simple camaraderie, of pure animal delight. And then it had changed. Somewhere between breaths, everything had changed. No longer simple, no longer uncomplicated, but now intense, breath-stopping, and dangerously personal. He put her down slowly and very careful that their bodies should barely touch. His face had changed, its simple exuberance darkened by a racing blend of emotions, shock and denial key among them. Chessie had stared at him wide-eyed. As he had raised his hand to her cheek, the wind had blown a strand of her hair around his arm, binding them as if some primitive pagan ritual. Calm down. That's some Tumblr shit. It's a little much, Christina. She gasped, watching the unnatural tension in his jaw, the sudden darkening of his eyes. Tony caught her shoulder, unmoving. He had stared down at her, his eyes full of an unspoken question, a question that Chessie was still too young and too innocent to understand. Slowly he bent his head. His breath had swept her cheek, his mouth had followed. Then, oh then, he had touched her, lip to open lip, mouth to trembling mouth. It had been wonderful and awful, white-hot and icy cold. She had put her hands to push him away and to draw him close. She had shivered, feeling his tongue push against her lips. Oh God, his tongue. And then, just as swiftly as it had begun, it was over. I'm sorry, Cricket, he said, jerking back, releasing her awkwardly. I can't imagine why. Chessie had only stared at him, bewildered. She didn't understand. Not him, not this, especially not the things she was feeling. She'd only shrugged, trying to shake off the strange fluttering in her stomach, the lightness of her skipping pulse. But what had happened to her? Why was her skin quivering? It was just a kiss, after all. It was just a kiss that had lasted far too long and ended far too soon. And even now she could remember every texture of it, every agonizing heartbeat. And all she could find to regret was his apology, which had hurt her far more than any liberties he had taken. Yes, it had all begun on that wind-swept, cypress-ringed hill surrounded by the silver water of the South China Sea, but it certainly hadn't ended there. That's complicated, and I'm going to leave that to you to dissect, because we got to keep clipping along. Tony will live. Barely. Tears of joy. Chessie realizes she maybe cares about Tony a little more than she thinks she does, because when he kind of regains consciousness, she just is like, oh my God, I can't live without him. We cut to the Duchess real quick, and hot milk alert. Hot milk alert. She has a glass of steaming hot milk before bed. And if you're new to this channel, I like to point out, because it happens a lot of hot milk is drank in these novels. Has anyone ever drank hot milk on purpose like that? Like to relax? Is that a night routine for you? Who here likes it? Because you have to brush your teeth after. So do you drink the hot milk and then brush your teeth? Ugh. Nasty. During the ice storm, real quick, everybody was talking about the milk and bread that goes like that. To which I said, well, I'm lactose intolerant and I don't like sandwich bread. So as long as the wine and like the French bread is still in stock, we're good to go. And luckily it was. Chessie and Tony's butler discuss Tony's pain, because not only has he now been like fugu poisoned, but he still has like that horrible knee accident. And so Chessie's like, I'm going to stay, hide out here, and heal Tony with my acupuncture and my Chinese remedies. Like, because Western medicine, let's be honest, it wasn't popping off at this time. It's still kind of low-key not popping off right now. The Chinese medicine that she knows and the techniques that she knows probably way better than anything Tony ever got in London. she's going to stay here and be his nurse. We have more Patreon of in his drugged out fugu state. He kind of eats her out. He does, but like, is it consensual? If he is delirious off of fugu poisoning, I don't know. I bring too many modern morals to this novel. I need to stop. We need to just release and let go. But he eats her out while he's kind of high on fugu poisoning. And then, of course, they do finally have hot, steaming sex. And you will read about that on the Patreon. I have this note, though. He feels guilty that he fucked her. So she blows him so that he won't feel guilty. She wants to show that it was like, it's consensual. Like, she's not struggling. But I guess he feels bad because he took her virginity. And so she sucks his dick so that he knows she's down. You know, like he eats her out, they fuck, and then she gives him oral. Just so everybody knows, like, we want to be here. And who wouldn't? It sounds like a great time with all of that. We have a notebook moment because after all of that, he says, I wrote to you. Like, literally, he's like, I wrote to you. I wrote to you, not for 10 years, but he wrote to her for, like, a lot. He's like, I always wrote to you. You never wrote back. Why didn't you write me back? Now, as she looked at him, she remembered those bitter months and fought to keep the pain of that remembering from her face. I received them. Her voice was flat, expressionless. Moreland's fingers tightened on her shoulder. I received them. That's all you have to say. Just like that, no explanation. He gave a hollow laugh. Huh. I wrote to you more than 40 letters, Chessie, and I never had a single reply. She stiffened and tried to pull away. No, stay. Talk to me, damn it. There had to be a reason. Would it have mattered? You were gone. There was nothing more to say. It mattered to me. She sighed. I was busy. You know how James can be when he gets a new scheme into his head. We moved twice that fall, and I was busy too, fighting a war. His voice hardened. Burying my best friends in rocky passes in Portugal and Spain, trying to keep the rest of my men alive. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't want your apology, Chessie. I want the truth. Why didn't you answer? I couldn't. Tears were stinging her throat. There you go again. There were ways. Even ships crossed the ocean every week. You could have found some way to... No, I couldn't answer. Not then. And not now. Because... She swallowed, feeling shame wash through her. Because I can't. Dear God, she couldn't say it. Even now, the humiliation was too great. Tony went very still. Because you can't read. His voice was stunned. Chessie could only nod. She tried to pull away, but he held her fast. Even now. She shook her head and scrubbed fervently at her eyes. That's better than the notebook moment. That's better. She had the letters from a man she loved and couldn't read them. That would tear you apart. I'm just staring wistfully. That would break your heart. She still has them. She doesn't know what they said. Like, I think it's almost, like I said, worse than the notebook. Because in the notebook, didn't she not have them? Or something? Like, someone kept them from him, right? Chessie got them. Saw that he was trying to communicate with her all those years. He's on the battlefield. Writing to her. She can't fucking read them. We're going to hit this pretty quick. Chessie tries sneaking out of Tony's now that he's, like, alive. She just won't fucking stay. She knows she loves him. You know these novels. She's just not going to stay. She tries sneaking out. She literally runs into every member of staff. Everybody's just like, hello, miss. Where you going? Where you going, puppet? She meets the kids, Jeremy and little baby Elsie. Little baby Elspeth. Okay? And they kind of overtake her and grab her. And they're like, you want some scones, miss? And they go and are adorable little rapscallion children. And they take her to go eat scones. Tony becomes swamped with work. And Chessie bonds with the kids, but she thinks they're Tony's. She's like, oh my God, he has whole ass children. He had a whole ass life in between. He was in a war. He got married. He had 2 kids. He's way more experienced in life than I am. And Chessie, as she's leaving, has this moment. She really likes the kids. They're adorable. Little British adorable children. They have a little frog named Napoleon. It's cute. But the governess, obviously, and Tony's so busy, he can't raise the kids, so he has a governess, and she's mean as fucking shit to these kids, and she's really abusive. Not like crazy, but like she's snatching them up. She's making them get rid of Napoleon the frog. The little girl's crying, and Chessie's like having that like look over the shoulder moment of just like she wants to say something. She wants to stop the governess. She can't get involved. She's already in too deep. She's got to go. If she gets involved with the kids, she's never going to get out. She's got to go. And so she just walks out. And I don't know what Tony was thinking, because she's literally like, he knows now she was trained in like with Shaolin monks. She has to find her dad. And he thought she was just going to stay at his house forever and be content. She's got shit to do. She's got work to do. Chessie at her house receives a letter. Don't worry. She has the maid read it for her. And it says, which I don't know. It's from the Triad. They're Chinese, aren't they? In this novel, they're Chinese. Why wouldn't they write to her in Mandarin or Cantonese? Why did they write to her in English? Now I'm asking myself that. But anyway, she apparently has the butler or the maid read this note. It says, "Do not see the yellow-haired Englishman anymore. He is too curious about the pillow book already. He distracts you, making you useless in your search. Heed this warning well. If you ignore it, he will die very slowly and very painfully, and your father will follow." She's upstairs, decompressing, doing her exercises, and it says, her cloth slipper hissed over the wooden floor, raising tiny specks of dust that danced in the sunlight. The air was still rich with the scent of lemon oil. Her foot slipped, and her ankle twisted and struck the floor, raking up a long sliver. She muttered an oath and reached down to tug the slipper free, but the wood clung to the black silk, like an obscure symbol that Chessie could not quite understand. Angrily, she plucked at it, frowning when it slipped through her fingers. She tried again, harder this time, and with a sharp hiss, the thin slipper tore in two. It struck Chessie as funny somehow. Slim and immobile in that beam of light, she stood staring at the jagged edges of black silk. Laughter welled up in her throat. Big silver tears followed, coursing wildly down her pale cheeks. In the dim light, in the room rich with the smell of lemon and freshly cut roses, she studied the ruined slipper. Her last one. It was funny somehow. Horribly funny. Her choked laughter echoed from the high attic walls, ragged as the edges of the silk in her fingers. Then the sound changed and grew raw and deep. By the time Chessie sank down to the polished floor, her silly slipper caught tight in her fingers. She was crying. For her slipper, she told herself fiercely. For her dreams. For the father she could not find, and the mother she never had. But as she clutched the frayed silk tight and felt it grow wet with her tears, she knew it was a lie. Y'all, Chessie's under a lot of pressure. She's 25, trying to find her dad, never had a mom, has PTSD from never belonging anywhere. She has no home. Tony and her are on again. Like, that's stressful. Someone keeps telling her, "I'm going to kill your dad. Find that fucking book." She doesn't know where do you find the book? Like, where do you even start? And time is ticking. And I kind of took, this might be English teacher, metaphor of me, but I kind of took her last slipper ripping and her upset over it as kind of like this last shred of a consistent home. This was her last piece of the last place that she could call home and felt comfortable with the monks in the temple. And now that it's gone, she truly is just like at rock bottom. What does she do? Tony arrives at Chessie's house because people saw Chessie leave Tony's house, and now he's like, we have to get married. He is like, you don't have to talk to me. You don't have to look at me. You don't have to do anything with me. We have to get married. I will not have you drugged down in London society, because remember back then, the walk of shame, not fun. Not a fun meme. It was literally going to make, because a woman's worth was her virginity, her status, her place in society. And so if she is seen leaving a man's house that she's not married to or engaged to, she's ruined. She's ruined. She has no what is the Pride and Prejudice thing? Like, I have no prospects. I'm almost 28. Like, I'm a fucking loser. He's like, look, the Duke showed up. The Duchess just showed up. Everybody is very concerned what I'm supposed to do because they're all like, Tony, you have to marry her. You better not. Don't you ruin little Chessie. Like the Duchess. And that's how he gets her, because he's sitting there telling her, you don't understand London society. They will eat you alive. Please marry me. You don't have to talk to me. You can do whatever you want. I don't fucking care. But you have to be legally married to me so that you can still show your face in public. And Chessie is like, I don't fucking care. I'm not going to stay. I'm about to leave. I don't like London society. I don't feel at home here. No. And he gets her with, what about the Duchess? She sponsored you, and this is how you treat her. This is how you show your respects to her. And that's what gets Chessie. She's like, she still says no. But she's kind of like, oh, I don't want to disappoint the Duchess. She was really nice to me. As Chessie, it says no and like leaves, she's kidnapped via carriage, kind of. How does that happen? I don't know. Does it trot on by and like, like, how does that happen? I'll tell you how. She sees the carriage. It's one of Tony's, but there's a little kid inside. She's literally lured into the van with a child. She thinks it's Jeremy. She thinks Jeremy is running away from home, took the whole fucking horse carriage, has a person driving his kid, like driving him in his runaway. And she's like, oh my God, Jeremy, why are you running away from your Uncle Tony? And, you know, he's like, I don't like Uncle Tony. I don't like my governess. She's so mean to me. I'm running away from home. She gets in the carriage and the door shuts. They're off. She's being kidnapped. Who is kidnapping her? Tony. Tony is hunched and trying to look like Jeremy. And he's like, you have to marry me. You don't understand. He begs her to marry him. And she fights him off, and she hits that bad knee. He immediately crumples. And he then sees her face. She's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just meant to hit you in the face, not your bad knee. And he's like, oh, I see why you don't want to marry me. Because I'm handicapped. You don't want to marry me because I'm old and I have this bad knee. You want some young buck who doesn't have a bad knee, who hasn't been poisoned by a fugu fish. You know, like Tony's kind of been through the ringer. He's not a spry young chap. And so now he's like, that's why you don't want to marry me. Okay. And he's like, whatever, we still have to get married. For the Duchess, for London society, for me, for the kids, like we have to get married. You left my house at night. We have to get married now. Can you imagine? That would be miserable. I'm so glad we have advanced past that. It's that trope of he is like, you have to trust me. I will handle your father's thing. I'll handle the pillow book. I'm on it. Please trust me. But I won't tell you anything. Why do the men not tell the women anything? If you want me to trust you, tell me. Tell me, what is your plan? Have you seen how men run the country? I need to know your plan. How am I supposed to trust you when literally every empire crumbles left and right because men don't let women handle anything? Why would I trust you? Why would I trust a man ever? Tell me. What's your plan? How are you going to find my father? How are you going to find the pillow book? What's your plan? What's your plan with your fucking bum ass knee? You got fugu poison. You're still kind of shaky on that. What the fuck are you gonna do? I am a 25-year-old trained Shaolin warrior who can speak and handle these triads because I speak the same language. But no, you've got it. You've got it, Tony. Okay. Yeah. Fuck me. Like, that's what I'm feeling for Chessie. Like, okay, fuck my resume. Great. They get to an inn to get married. There's literally a cleric waiting on them. Tony's like, I'm going to go upstairs. We're going to come downstairs. We're going to get married. Chessie leaves out of the roof. And we have this real quick chapter scene. Chessie gets out on the roof to run away from Tony. He gets on the roof with her. Remember, he has a bad knee. He's a little old. Okay? He's on the roof with her. She's Catwomaning over these tiles, Tony sees a man with a gun behind a chimney. Where the fuck? How did he know they were going to be there? Anyways, the man is about to shoot Chessie, but because it's 1800s and like those fucking guns take forever, Tony has time to get a tile off of the roof, throw it at the man, hit him. The man falls off of the roof, dies, all splayed and disgusting, elbow over here, knee over there. Chessie faints at the sight of it and faints at the idea that someone was trying to shoot her. I'm sorry. I thought you were trained. What did they do up in that temple? Have you sweep and feed crows all day? Girl, you can't handle someone being knocked off of a roof that tried to shoot you. What did you, why put yourself in this predicament anyways if you couldn't handle it? Ugh. Chessie faints. She's sliding off the roof. Tony's like, God damn it. I just asked the girl to marry me and she's like to throw herself off a roof. A little much. He does that dramatic thing, slides down, catches her before she falls. She grabs the roof. It's that thing of like they're barely hanging on. She's hanging on the ledge. Tony's hanging on. But he's kind of falling too. He's slipping and sliding off. His leg can't grip. Tony falls off the roof. Chessie can't hang on any longer. I don't know why. She should have the upper body strength to pull herself up. It's kind of like pulling yourself up out of a pool. You think you got it, but you don't. And it's very embarrassing. You're trying to look sexy getting out of the pool. And it's like you have to crawl on your elbows. But she can't even do that. She falls off the roof. Tony catches her with a quilt. Let's recap that chaotic chapter real quick. Chessie runs away on a roof. Tony goes after her. A man with a gun, one of the members of the triads. A man with a gun tries to shoot her. Tony hits him with a towel. The man falls off. Chessie faints at the sight of it. She falls off. Tony catches her. They're on a ledge. He falls off. Then Chessie falls off, but Tony catches her with a quilt that he found in a barn. Did y'all catch all that? Great. As they reunite, she finally agrees she'll marry him. And we learn that the reason she didn't want to marry him is because she didn't think she was good enough for him. Like she thought Tony deserved someone more than a 25-year-old gorgeous girl who speaks other languages, who speaks like 2 languages, if not more, is athletic and strong, like girl. As we are in the bedroom and they're finally agreeing to get married. Oh, happy tears. Chessie broke her ankle during that kerfuffle. And y'all, as Tony is examining her ankle, he pretty much fists her. I don't know. You know how it's written sometimes where it's like, all right, how many fingers is in there? Because after 3, I think it just becomes fisting. Because he's like 1, 2, and then a third finger. I'm like, all right, what's happening? And you have to like reread it. We'll read it on the Patreon. But he's knuckle deep in her like General Chow's chicken over there. The Duchess shows up because she's getting on to Tony about like, you better fucking marry her. And Tony's like, we're already on that, Duchess. Like, who keeps telling you where we are? Guess what? The fucking priest left because they were taking too long. So they're not married yet. Oh. They go to Tony's mansion. Chessie learns Tony is not the father. He's not the father to little baby Jeremy and little baby Elspeth. Little baby Ellie. And Tony's like, oh my God, you think I was like their dad? Sir, 2 little kids live with you. Don't act, and you're almost 40. Don't act like that's crazy. Don't act like that's a crazy assumption. You're not about to gaslight me into thinking like that's, wow, Chessie, you thought I was their dad? Crazy. No. But you know what? Speaking of dads, guess who shows up? James Cameron. James Cameron shows up. He just finished the Avatar movie. He hasn't started the other one. He has the time. I'm kidding. Chessie's dad, James Cameron, shows up. It's not really explained how he got there or away from the triads. He just shows up because he was missing this whole time. Missing this whole time. But when he heard that Tony Moreland was about to fuck his daughter, he got out of wherever he was, triad prison. And I hope that's like an okay word. Is that a bad word to say? Is that not politically correct? I don't even know what triad means. If I've been saying it this whole video and it means like some crazy racist thing, I am so sorry if it does. But he heard his poor little daughter, like he left his daughter with no food, no money. That was fine. Left her to go find the pillow book to get him out. That apparently fine. But she was about to fuck somebody. Excuse me? He just Kool-Aid man burst through the door like, what? Not my girl. Like, where the fuck have you been? Okay. They nearly shoot each other. Tony and Cameron nearly shoot each other. Because Cameron's like, I'm about to fucking shoot you. He has a gun. Tony's like, well, instead of being like, oh, we're engaged, he gets out his gun and is like, fucking bring it. And Chessie is like in between them going like, no, don't kill each other. We're engaged. And all of a sudden James Cameron's like, oh, silly me. Put that away. Come here, son. Come here. Welcome to the family. It's as stupid as I'm saying it. It's as stupid as I'm saying it. I didn't write this. You can't help but laugh at it. It's crazy. It's so soap opera. And that's why I love these novels. They're ridiculous. And they crack me up. You have to have, like, if y'all are into reading these like I am, you have to have a glass of wine or an edible or something and just enjoy the ride. I know we're asking questions, but we're having fun questions. Don't ask serious questions, okay? Don't ask how James Cameron showed up. He fucking showed up. He's James Cameron. He's James Cameron. He made the Titanic. He's James Cameron. The Duchess, James Cameron, Chessie, Tony, and the kids kind of have like a little family night. And Chessie, for the first time, feels a part of a family. She loves it. She's like, this is what it feels like to be part of something. Chessie goes to sleep with Elspeth. It's pretty cute because the little girl, I loved it because the little girl doesn't have a mom. Chessie doesn't have a mom. And so the little girl's like, I just thought maybe you could come and have a sleepover with me and we could play with my dolls and Napoleon the Frog. And Chessie, and then like little Ellie's just like, oh, that's so, like, you're so pretty and you're so grown. Like, you wouldn't want to come hang out with me and my frog and my dollies. And Chessie, like any of us, is like, I absolutely want to do that. I'm getting my pillow right now. Please take me to this tea time with Napoleon the Frog and the dolls. And I imagine Napoleon the Frog is like Buzz Lightyear as Miss Nisbet. Like, he has a little hat on and he's at the table just like a little frog. And this little Elsie is just like, would you like more tea, Mr. Napoleon? I put a fly in it for you. It's adorable. But as we're reminiscing on Chessie having this little tea party with this little girl, and they're having a mommy moment. Chessie didn't have a mom. Little Elsie didn't have a mama. They're there for each other. But we learn in the next chapter, Chessie does have a mom who is in the same building. The Duchess's best friend and head maid is Chessie's mom. Remember when I mentioned the Duchess said, you look just like my best friend. Y'all are so pretty. That's her mom. And the Duchess, like all of us, puts two and two together. She's sitting there, get her hair brushed by her best friend and her maid. And she's kind of like, you look a lot like Chessie. And the maid's getting a little verklempt, a little choked up. She's like, I know. She's a very pretty girl. She's a very pretty girl. And the Duchess is like, the woman's name is Elizabeth. She's like, Lizzie, imagine her like turning over her shoulder. Are you Chessie's mom? What the fuck? Like, all we would do of like, what? You're her mom? She freaks out just like we all do. And as they're going down that path, guess who's outside the door? Sorry, I'm screaming into this microphone. I'm so sorry. Let me move it. Guess who's outside the door? Tony. And Tony is sitting there. Chessie has a mom who's here, who's the Duchess's maid. And then as he's freaking out, James Cameron shows up. He's like, my wife's in there? And he's about to break the door down. And Tony's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We got to think of Chessie. We got to think of Chessie. We can't freak Chessie out. Like, let's rejoin this at breakfast. I'll make omelets. I'll make pancakes. We'll come back. It's so much. But as they're like, the men, Tony and James, are freaking out. We learn James and Elizabeth's backstory. And in brief, Elizabeth's mom was deathly sick, very sick. And she waited hand and foot on her mother. Her father was very abusive. And she was just a servant. And James was like, I will take you away. We can travel the world. Please come with me. I don't want you to serve your abusive father anymore. You are not responsible for your mother in this way. Like, your dad needs to hire a professional. He cannot rely on his like young daughter to do this for the rest of her life. He was like, you need a life. You cannot sit here and wait for your mother to die. And so he talked Lizzie into going to travel the world. They had Chessie. And then while they were in, I think, China or somewhere, Lizzie gets a letter from her father. How did they find people like that back then? How did you know where they were? Anyways, she gets a letter from her dad that says her mother is literally dying and it's her fault because she's not there taking care of her. And he puts money for a passage back to America. Or he puts money back to England. Lizzie goes and she tries to take Chessie. And James says, absolutely not. I will not have our daughter be abused by your father like you are. Leave her. And Lizzie is racked with guilt of losing her mother. And so she does leave Chessie. And she leaves and never comes back. Now, we have to have some sympathy for Lizzie. She grew up with the weight of her mom's life on her shoulders. This is different than what we could fathom, I think. So I do have sympathy for her. She was abused by her father her whole life. He does, you know how it is with abuse. Like, they have a controlling hand over you at all times. It's hard to shake it off, even if you're another continent away. And so once she got to England, she was such a great servant that she went into the service, and after her mother passed away, and became an actual servant. And that's how she's with the Duchess. The clue to the pillow book is the Englishman. If you find the Englishman, you find the pillow book. Great. We're in London. Now, this clue came from James, who learned it from the Triad when he was being held captive. He kept saying they were referring to the Englishman. The Englishman has the pillow book. Broadly gestures to all of England. Great. Off to a great start. Remember Louisa Landringham, who wanted Tony and he said no, and so she's hell-bent on getting revenge? This whole novel, she has been sucking dick and plotting revenge. It's not important, and she's not an important character, but she does have a hand with like this fucking pillow book, so I have to mention her. There's a lot of characters that need attention that I don't have time to give attention to, and then her that I'm like, she's not important, but she is. So Louisa, she's been like dominating all of these men this whole novel, and she's about to have another male suitor called the Englishman come in. How timely of this novel. And I love this detail that she's putting rouge on her nipples because she learned it in France. And I'm just kind of like, what color is she doing? That's where my mind went. I was like, what color rouge? Like a red? I guess. And for once, she's topped. She's met her match. This Englishman interrogates her via fingering aggressively, like just pounding away to get information about Tony Moreland, because he needs to find Tony. He's got business with Tony. The gang is off. They are going to a second location. They are going to go to Tony's other estate to go hide and recoup and make a plan, because no one has a fucking plan. And here we have, I want to put this moment in because I thought it was wonderful. They're all in little carriages. The Duchess puts Lizzie, her maid, in the same carriage as James Cameron. They haven't reunited this whole time. Elizabeth slid back far against the wall, her eyes, what could be seen of them, fixed on Cameron's face. She's wearing a black veil. He stared back just as fixedly. He heard her take a little ragged breath, saw her shoulders stiffen. "Surely in here the veil may be dispensed with," he said. "Oh no, it wouldn't feel right." "But whom have you lost?" Cameron's tone was gentle but inexorable. "Father, husband, perhaps a child." A shudder seemed to go through her. As James Cameron found that he couldn't bear the sight of her pain any longer, though heaven knew he had every reason to be angry after all these years of pain she had inflicted upon him by her flight. Don't cry. Don't cry. Her fingers twisted against the black dress, as restless and pale as moth wings against the cold night. When the low, choked sounds continued, Cameron bent closer still, his face gaunt and lined with the pain of its own. Don't. I can't bear it. Don't, Lizzie. And at that last word, the woman before him froze, and then she seemed to crumple, while choked little sounds spilled from her throat. Cameron ignored her shivering, ignored her stiff fingers, her incoherent protest. He pulled her into the seat beside him, and then very gently slid back the veil from her face. Lizzie. His own voice shook, and his hands were no longer quite so steady. My dearest love. Oh, James, I've been such a fool. You must hate me. And yet I thought it was all for the best. I knew you would be a splendid father to our little girl, and she is a delight, isn't she? So calm and strong, so sure. All the things I'm not, nor ever will be. Hush. He ran his finger gently over her tear-streaked cheek. You're just as strong in your own way. Remember how you berated that vegetable seller in Morocco for trying to cheat me? His wife gave a hiccuping laugh. And Chessie will soon love you just as much as I do. Can you, James? After all these years? After what I've done? Hush, Lizzie, and I'll show you just how much I can. And then somehow she was in his arms, and he was kissing the tears from her white cheeks, murmuring incoherent phrases of his own. Though they meant nothing at all, they seemed to give the woman in his arms an infinite amount of pleasure. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. I love older romance, like in Murders in the Building with Meryl Streep and Martin Short. I love it. I love Pamela Anderson and Liam Neeson. I love seeing older people fall in love and still have romance. I think it's the sweetest thing in the world. I love it. As Tony and Chessie are galloping towards their estate, having a great time, they're thinking about, oh my God, when we get married, we're going to be like so cute, and I'm going to yell at you about your shirts on the floor, and it's going to be so fun. A bullet goes by. There are people on horseback shooting at fucking Chessie again. And so they finally do, y'all, this is like the last few chapters, and it's going to hit like a ton of bricks like they always do, so bear with me. They get to Tony's house after being shot at, but we notice the detail that the person on horseback shooting at them, they can't shake. This person knows this land just as well as Tony does. And at this moment in time, you're probably already guessing. I didn't guess it. You probably are. We'll get there. Tony goes to search, looks around, tries to find clues. But I do want to have, like, as he's researching, trying to figure out what this mystery is, we have this little moment with Elsie where she comes to Tony holding Napoleon the Frog. We need merch. Napoleon the Frog. She's holding little Napoleon. And she thinks that because Chessie and Tony, her Uncle Tony, are getting married, they're going to kick the kids out. And so she's coming to plead her case. This little 5-year-old is like, I promise, I'll listen, I'll mind, I'll eat all of my boiled British vegetables, I won't play in the mud, I'll be a proper lady, please let me stay, Uncle Tony. And Tony's sitting there. This is like a war hero. He's seen his friends, like, get blasted by cannons. He starts tearing up. He's like, oh, yes, you can stay. Why would you think you can stay, my little princess? And he's like, you're my daughter. I love you. Of course you're staying. Chessie wants you to stay. Like, we're going to be a happy family. And then little Elsie is like, can Napoleon stay? I promise I'll keep him very clean. And Tony's like, again, crying. And he's like, yes. Napoleon has a place in this family too. Fucking love Napoleon. He's the best. But I love that moment. That would have been so sweet in the made-for-TV movie of, like, Tony's just racked with stress at this desk, ruffling his hand through his hair. He can't figure out who's trying to murder his fiance. And this little blonde British girl with this little disgusting frog. And she's just like, can we stay in your house? And he's like, it's your house. Yes. Yeah. And I love that they don't have a pet dog or a cat. They have a family frog. I'm sorry. It's just what I know y'all are like, Montana, so much has happened in this novel, and you're really just picking up on the pieces that don't fucking matter. It matters to me. I love the Disney animal sidekick trope. It's my favorite. But y'all, Chessie goes to sleep with little Elsie and Napoleon. And as she's sleeping, a mysterious figure comes into that room. He caresses her face, brushes his fingers through her hair, touches her. And we have this. For long moments, he simply watched her. His eyes darkened to cold and soulless slits. And then he touched her again. This time, he found the taut crimson crests beneath the filmy lace. He circled them slowly, flicking them with a cool enjoyment. He felt the first flush of lust, and that too amused him. Intriguing. Andrew Langford, the very much alive Duke of Morewood, felt his mouth curve up in a thin smile. And this time, my dear brother, I have every intention of finishing what I start. Evil twin brother? Sorry, I'm like trying to lean away from the microphone so like people with headphones are not bleeding. But evil twin brother trope? Have we had that yet? It's a classic for a reason. I love it. I was thrilled. The dead evil twin brother comes back. Y'all. And this is where it really pops off. Let's go ahead and keep this roller coaster going. He tricks Chessie right then and there. He tricks Chessie because he looks just like Tony. And he's like, Chessie, little baby Elsie needs you. She's having a nightmare. And Chessie's like, what? Okay, let's go. And he just loads her up on a fucking horse and runs off into the woods. And he has the kids locked in a windmill. The kids are locked in a windmill. And she, while on horseback, immediately, obviously, realizes this is not Tony. And she's like, oh my God, you're the brother. 1, why are you alive? 2, how are you kidnapping your own children? These are your kids. And he says, well, with a wife like mine, who knows? Rude. We learn his backstory real quick. It's pretty sloppy. Real quick, he was a gambler. He was a piece of shit. He was a lecherous man, but he was the Duke. He was the eldest brother. Everybody liked Tony more. The family wanted Tony to be Duke. And Andrew hated it. Which is crazy because they're twins. I guess Andrew was first. But you would think with twins, it'd be like, okay, like, let's just see how this plays out. And whoever's like the best at running the estate gets it. But Andrew, I guess, was like 3 minutes early. And he got dibs. And the dad really hated it. Like, the dad wanted everything to go to Tony. And the girls liked Tony, which again, they're twins, but whatever. And the girls liked Tony. Everybody liked Tony more. And despite being Duke, no one really gave a shit about Andrew. And so he gambled, drank, had sex. And he was selling pieces of the estate and sending money to a place in Jamaica. And so he's like, I need to die because I have a shit ton of people pissed at me and a lot of debt. And if my dad finds out, like, he'll kill me. So he said, I'm going to fake my death. Of which then Chessie's like, did you murder your wife? And he's like, well, it was an accident, technically, like in the drunk carriage. Like, we both died, technically. And she's like, you killed your wife to fake your own death? Why didn't you just leave her so she could have stayed with the kids? This man's a monster. Faked his own death to escape debt. Goes to Jamaica. But he kind of misses having money. He ran out of money. So he's coming back. And Chessie's like, well, no one's going to believe you when you come back from the dead. That's so stupid. And Andrew's like, that's not true. Andrew's going to stay dead. I'm just going to become Tony. We're identical twins. I'll just be Tony. I'll be your husband. Oh, fuck. As they're in this windmill, Tony arrives. He's here to save the day. And we have the big climactic showdown. They're in this windmill. They have sabers drawn. They're fighting on like the little stilts inside. Because the windmill's kind of hollow in the inside of it, isn't it? I don't know. We ain't got a lot here. But it's kind of hollow from what it sounds like. Like they're fighting on rafters and shit with like sabers. Very dramatic. And Chessie, I'm just kind of like, girl, like, use your warrior skills and start, like, she could be popping off on these little beams and like, what guy? Doing shit like that. But instead, she's just kind of like cowering in the corner. Ugh. I hate when the girls, the female heroes, the heroines, start so strong in the novel. Like, they're just like fucking boss bitches, American Girl dolls, grown up. And then they meet this guy, and all of a sudden they're just like little bumbling, like, But she does get the kids out. She does get the kids out. And so her and the kids are outside the windmill, safe. And they can still see Tony and Andrew fighting. They can't keep up with who's who because they're identical twins. And we have this. This is Tony. Because they're identical twins and they're from the same place. How do I make them sound different? I don't know. I'm terrible with British accents, much less two of the same man. Anyways, it's over, Andrew. Give it up. We'll find some way to... Never. I'll have it all or I'll have none of it. I'm tired of you sharing my face and my life, of being forever second to you. He took a quick step back as Tony staggered forward, his arms straightened, the pistol gleaming in the sunlight. Chessie froze, hearing the wind rush past her face, feeling the wild drumbeat of her heart. And then Andrew fired. No arrangements, damn you. No deals. No more promises. I've done it. Once and for all. I've won. Laughing shrilly, he lurched backward as Tony swayed and fell to his knees, his hands locked to his side. And then the rest would always remain a nightmare to Chessie. Long afterward, it haunted her in wisps and glimpses of memory. It started with Andrew's hoarse laugh, his wild, staggering dance of triumph. And then his surprise as his boot hit a hidden rock. The tottering, the flapping hands, the sudden blind descent backwards, and his fall straight into the great white arms of the windmill. Chessie jerked the children to her chest as the gleaming blades swung down, hurled relentlessly in their path by tons of weight and well-oiled machinery. They struck with an awful, muffled thump, a scream, and a terrible silence. And in the field the tulips shook, their petals splashed red upon blood red in the sunlight. What a way to go. Do you think he hit every blade of that windmill? Just womp, bump, bump, bump. That would be funny. But no. It sounds like he just hit the one and fell off. Very poignant, kind of like, again, the cinematography of that. Like the very Disney of like he's laughing. It's very Gaston, like how Gaston died. Of ha ha ha, I got him. Or no, that's not how Gaston died. Anyway, it's a very Disney kind of way of dying. Of just, they always kind of like fall off of something. Very Clayton, Mother Gothel, I think. They fall, and you just, I imagine, would just see the blood splatter on the tulips. The red tulips with another hit of red. I forgot to mention in all this excitement, Andrew has the pillow book. Andrew had the stupid pillow book. It is so stupid that the pillow book was even mentioned in this fucking novel. It is nothing. It means nothing. It is the worst plot trope because people keep forgetting about it. I think it was just something that she needed a mission, and so they just made that. Anyways, Andrew had the fucking pillow book. He got it from Louisa, the whore. Remember, she wasn't anything fucking important, but we had to have her get fingered by Andrew to get information about Tony so he could get the pillow book from her. So they have the pillow book. They have the dad. Like, everything's happy. Everything's happy now. Chessie is fixing him up for the millionth time. Tony has been through it. I'm sorry if, like, my chair has been creaking this whole time. I'm on a very rickety chair. Sorry. Chessie is pretty much just going to be his nursemaid for the rest of his life. Thank God she knows kind of how to heal, because that's what you're going to be doing for the rest of Tony's life. He has literally had a cannonball to the knee, fugu poisoned, and fell off a windmill with a pistol shot at him. Like, let the man retire. As she is fixing him up, she recounts meeting her mom. It's not done live, like it's a flashback. Because, you know, he's like, everything's great. You love your mom. And it's kind of rushed, but she met her mom. She was mad at her mom. She had resentment, rightfully so. She didn't know how to handle the emotions, but she saw her mom cry and feel genuine remorse, and she forgave. She wants a chance with a mom. And I like that. I don't like holding grudges. I don't like necessarily just, what do they say? Like, trying to hold out for vengeance. You're just holding a blade that cuts your hand. And I'm not sitting here saying you should just forgive and forget, but you should just kind of like let that go. If you truly, like, there's not many, but a few people that I will never forgive. But I don't harbor that resentment on a daily basis. I don't think about them. I let that go. I just don't let them a part of my world. I'm sorry, this is getting off key. But I think that's what Chessie's doing. And I think it's healthy of forgive. Life's too short. She's been nearly shot 100 times. She's nearly lost Tony. She lost her mom. Her mom's back. She lost her dad. Just let it go. Her mom is obviously genuinely remorseful. So I'm here for the forgiveness. Like, just let it go. We have the epilogue. The epilogue's pretty crazy. The epilogue is Tony and Chessie's proper wedding held by the Duchess. She's holding a grand affair, and it's kind of the Duchess's point of view. She's kind of reading all the guests to filth. She's like, I don't know who these people are. Like, I hate being Duchess because everybody knows you. I don't know who the hell that is. Like, hi. Oh my God. I love your dress. Who the fuck was that? Very Miranda Priestley at the gala. Like, who is that? I think this is a weird detail of James and Lizzie go hook up in a maze. Apparently mazes were everywhere back in the day. Everybody had a fucking maze in their backyard. A labyrinth. Your home was not complete without a labyrinth. James Cameron and Lizzie go hook up in the maze. They're rekindling. They're being little rapscallions. They're feeling young again. Let them have it. But then Chessie and Tony want to go have some fun at their own wedding. They want to scamper off. They're a little tipsy. And they run into her parents. And it's this weird interaction of, I know what they're going for. They're going for passing the baton. They're going for, we're a happy in love couple. We are giving you the blessing of being a happy in love couple. But it's just weird when, like, you walk in on your parents fucking. And they're like, oh, no. Y'all can have it. I kept the seat warm for you. We were just warming it up. Let's go, honey. Let the kids have their fun. We'll go do something else. Like, it's just like, what? It was supposed to be very sweet, but I couldn't help in my mind to be like, ew. I would be traumatized. After they have fun, after the wedding, their honeymoon night. And Tony takes Chessie to the Jeremy and Ellie's treehouse. He said the kids wanted us to have our honeymoon night in their treehouse. They lent it to us because they wanted us to be close to home, but have some privacy. And so it's kind of sweet. They're in a treehouse, going through their wedding gifts, eating cake, drinking. How did Tony get up there with that knee? I have a bad knee. I can barely get up like the 3-step little ladder that you like change a light bulb with. Apparently he got up in a treehouse somehow. And they're drinking, they're having fun. And here we have the last page of this novel. Oh, look, the Duke of Hawkinsworth has given us a second book. She squinted down at the handwritten note. It's called The Perfumed Garden? She sounded out the words carefully. It's never been translated, but he said, well, he told me not to open it until we... Her face colored. Tony began to smile. Indeed. Then go ahead and open it by all means, because in a minute I am most certainly going to... Chessie looked down to hide her flush, quickly opening the book. Lovely colors, and such a beautiful gold binding. And then her voice wavered, her eyes widened. But this is... there. She flipped to the next page. Tony smiled woofishly. You mean that it's rather like our pillow book, I think. Which is on its way to China right now. Good riddance, if you ask me. I only hope that our envoy will be able to keep it safe from the Triads. But enough of government problems. What? Chessie did not seem to hear. Frowning, she studied the couple on the page before her. She turned the book sideways. She turned the book upside down. Finally, her head cocked to the side. But Tony, however did they do that? Very carefully, my love. Gently, her husband removed the jewel-covered volume and tossed it onto the coverlet and tugged Chessie down on top of him. And with a great deal of practice, I suspect. Chessie's amethyst eyes began to gleam. Should you like to practice, my lord? With me? Moreland groaned. First erotic underclothes and then seductive perfume, and now an excruciatingly sensual pillow book. He shook his head. Something tells me that life with you is going to be anything but boring, Cricket. Now, be quiet, woman. Chessie's head slanted back. Why? So I can kiss you, of course, and so that we can begin our practicing. Chessie offered him her most alluring smile. Her dress slid slowly from her shoulder. My dear forever friend, she said huskily, I thought you'd never ask. And that is East of Forever by Christina Sky. All right, Montana's State of Mind. I liked the book. I liked it. I know I complained and bitched about a lot of the plot tropes and stuff, but like, you don't want it to be perfect. You want a book that's a conversation piece. You want to sit there and have a debate over things. You don't want a smooth ride. You want to be like, eh. I liked it. I thought it was different. We haven't had a female character like this. Tony, okay, he's not Sharif. He's not Galen. He's not amazing. But he's not Landis Tandis. And if you're new and you're wondering who I'm talking about other male characters we've had. He's not Landis Tandis. He's not Gage. He's not a piece of shit. But he's definitely not Sharif Galen material. He's in between. Like I said, he just... Is it wrong for me to say he fell in love with her at the wrong time? Like, he loves her. He just fell in love with her a little too soon. You just should have let that keep on cooking. Let that simmer a little bit longer. Then go fall in love and marry her. He just, But he felt bad. Like, he had remorse. And he tried to do the right thing. He kept trying to marry her. She just, again, couldn't see how... My problem with the novel is that Chessie is fucking cool and had the potential to be way cooler and way more badass. Again, she had an amazing upbringing, trained since she was 15. And we're not going to see any of that. Like, she fought with Tony a few times, but I wanted to see her, like, save him. Them be a team, Like, he's this war-torn British soldier and this, like, Shaolin monk girl. Like, that would have been great for a tag team moment. Napoleon the Frog, best supporting actor. Love him. If I could draw a frog for the thumbnail, I would. I might. James Cameron's great. Lizzie, their little B plot, that was really cute. I love when old people fall in love. I liked the kids. The kids were pretty cute. I know I didn't talk about them a lot, but they weren't annoying. I know sometimes kids can be annoying in a book or a movie. These were pretty cute. They were just used to kind of give like Chessie like this like maternal moment of family. Of like, because it just couldn't be her and Tony. She needed a little bit more family. She's never had one. The Duchess was fun. She's very Lady Catherine de Bourgh, very grandmothery. I thought her and James Cameron were going to get together. I was like, oh, is she going to be like grandma? She's kind of like great grandma, I guess. I like Chessie and Tony. I hope they travel the world. I hope they have a home base in London, but I hope they go travel. I hope they are like in The Mummy. They're Brendan Fraser, an old girl, and they're just riding camels into the sunset, just spelunking and stealing for the British Empire. Love that for them. Our next novel, I'm very excited about because I've already started it, and y'all, I'm loving it. And it's going to be good accent work because it's Penelope Neri, Forever in His Arms. And it's a step back too. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, that's gorgeous colors. Love it. Now let me read y'all the back. Whispers of war between North and South were riding in the wind the summer Jenny Delaney fell in love with Tyler Mackenzie. Behind the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, it was still possible to believe in fairy tale endings, even though Jenny knew in her heart that the blood feud between the Delaneys and the Mackenzies was as inescapable as the coming war. Time was fast running out for the secret trysts and lovers' dreams, and she'd have to choose between the life she held so dear and the man whose passion made her burn as brightly as the evening star. Forever in His Arms, Penelope Neri. Look how big this book is. This is look at that. It's 600 pages. Penelope, get a hobby. Sorry. I'm very excited. I've read the first few chapters. I already love it. And it's going to be good accent work because although I am not from the Smoky Mountains, it's a sister state. It's right up there. Penelope Neri writes the house down. we're in for a good time. Look at this. And she's a history fucking buff. I'm going to learn more about the South and the North fighting, honestly, than probably my education taught me. But this is given Gone with the Wind, North and South. But it's also given, what is it, the Hatfields and McCoys? That kind of vibe. It's Romeo and Juliet in the Smoky Mountains with a bubbling rise of the Confederacy and the Union fighting. Oh, I'm excited. Anyways, that is this month's novel, and that is next month's novel. And I'm going to go because I have to go to work. Because as much as I love this YouTube channel, it does not pay the bills. I will see some of y'all next week on the Patreon as we go over those steamy scenes in the movies and everything. And some of y'all I'll see next month, all right? So thank y'all for sitting with me. I hope I did a good job reading this novel. I'm a little rusty. It's been a month. But anyways, y'all have a good month. It's Chinese Lunar New Year. It's Mardi Gras. It's Valentine's Day. There's lots of yummy things to buy to eat. I love how at Christmas they're like, oh my God, I must start my diet. New Year's. And I'm like, there's like 5 other holidays right after Christmas, especially if you're from here. There's king cakes, there's moon cakes, there's chocolate covered strawberries. Like, this diet ain't starting anytime soon. But I will see y'all all next month. Y'all be safe in this snowy weather, all right? Bye.